Listening to the word of the heart. Before moving beyond the prologue, let me say one more thing in order to try and tie everything together. Particularly, I would like to bring together the theme of the Word and the theme of the bosom, which in turn relate to the two titles of Christ that are given here, the Word and the Son. Jesus is the eternal Word of the Father, because he is the one who is ceaselessly spoken lovingly by the Father. He is the Father's full self-expression and the total outpouring of his being in creative thought and love. In other words, he is the irradiation of uncreated beauty, goodness, and truth. Yet this word is not an abstract or impersonal word, but rather a person who is infinitely and eternally loved by the Father for his own sake. In other words, he is Son. The deep interrelationship, or rather total identity, between Son and Word, between begetting and speaking, applies also to the relationship between the phrase "in the beginning with God," eis ton theon, and the phrase "in the bosom of the Father," eis ton kopon tuum patros. Yes, the Son is not merely a word spoken by the Father, or a word in the mind of the Father. He is the beloved Son who is ceaselessly cradled in the Father's most intimate embrace, against his paternal breast. This is the beautiful power of that little word, eis, meaning into or toward, for it implies not merely a static being with God, but a dynamic movement, a personal presence, a being directed toward the face, a contemplative gaze of delight and belonging, and an act of total surrender. Jesus is the word spoken by the Father, but he also echoes back as a word spoken reciprocally to the Father by the Son, who is beloved and thus also becomes lover by the love that he has first received. Yes, here word and bosom come together, for as the Son leans against the breast of the Father, he is able to listen to the word of love always spoken by the Father, to receive the reverberations of his tender and loving heart. Here word and bosom become one, for the breast itself speaks. What is the significance of this for us? It ties in directly with what I said in the previous two reflections about exegesis and eisegesis. Notice how the word exegesis directly unfolds in an unexpected manner the truth that I explored concerning exousia, the authority and power of God, which is nothing but the generous outpouring of his being as love. And notice also how the word eisegesis connects with the two phrases above, eis ton theon and eos ton kopon tuum patros. This eis, this into, corresponds with and is a response to the ex, the out of God's own generous self-giving. In other words, God gives himself to me. He pours out his being in a loving exousia, or a living exegesis, only in order to draw me into his sheltering embrace, so that I may rest in his bosom in the eisegesis of intimacy. I would like to say one more thing about this. I said that the breast itself speaks. The heart of the Father, against which the Son eternally rests, throbs with an endless pulsation of infinite tenderness and love. And the heart of the Son, the sacred heart of Christ, throbs with this same love which he has first received from the Father. To lean against the breast of Jesus, like the beloved disciple at the Last Supper, is therefore to enter into the orbit both of exegesis and of eisegesis. It is to listen and to surrender. It is to receive all and to give all. It is to be drawn into the most blessed embrace of perfect, total, and enduring intimacy. But this is not all. For I said that God does not only desire to speak to me, but also desires to listen to me. And if the breast speaks, then what does this mean? It means that he not only wants me to recline against his breast, to press my head tenderly against his throbbing heart, but also to let him press his head against my own breast, and to listen to the pulsation of my own heart too. And with God, both are possible simultaneously, my repose against his breast, and his repose against mine. Just as it is possible for him to be silent and to speak at the same time, and possible for him to press me to his breast and to look in my eyes all at once. To conclude, let me quote a little section from my novel, Unspeakable Beauty, which gestures to this reality. I felt Jesus inviting me to lean my head against his breast and to listen to his heart. But I pulled away. I can't do that. And then he asked if I would let him put his head against my heart and listen to it. I was able to allow him to do this, but only for an instant. Then I realized that this was just as intimate, and I pulled away. I guess true intimacy means both, doesn't it? Not only resting against the heart of Jesus, but allowing him to rest against my heart too. Jesus, give me the grace not to pull away in fear from this intimate place, but to allow you to repose your head against my heart just as I repose against yours.